Zipho Sikhakhane is a sought-after global speaker, thought leader, writer, and business strategist. She also serves on several boards and has a Master of Business Administration from Stanford University in the United States. A lifetime entrepreneur and angel investor, she also founded EMZ Advisory, a management consulting firm operating since 2015, enabling leaders and businesses to unleash their growth potential. In this podcast, she shares about her journey to self discovery and accelerated growth in life, career, and business on a more intimate setting, a podcast.
Welcome to Mastery Sessions with Zipho.
Let's talk about competence now, right? Because you've done the investment to shift the state of mind, I hope, and it's an active process. It's not a once-off exercise. But it puts you in a position to be ready to start investing, right, in enhancing your competence as a leader. Because what this does is the more competent you become, the more trust you have in yourself, and the more effective you can therefore be on your journey to even being more confident as an individual, right? This also helps a lot in offsetting some of those big factors that can really affect your confidence in a negative way. So, one of the frameworks that I appreciate, right, when it comes to looking at the link between confidence and competence, it's actually called the competence-confidence loop, right? And ultimately, you get to confidence by clearly setting an objective. Then you practice, what is it that you're trying to enhance? You get the feedback so that you can enhance yourself. You then work towards developing a certain level of competence. That gives you the confidence. And then you keep going back to that loop over and over and over again so that you get to become the kind of individual, right, who actually benefits from this cycle. Because you're not alone, right? I mean, once you get to a certain level of competence, there's always going to be the next that you need to achieve. And I'll be honest, right, there is no shortcuts to this. I know in this generation, we like instant gratification. It's like, give me the shortcut. There is no shortcut on competence. You have to put in the hard work. You have to make sure that you always invest in preparation, right? Because this helps you keep that confidence going no matter what, no matter the circumstances that are happening around you. And also for you to become ultimately skilled at a certain task, the more competence you develop, your fear starts shrinking, right? And you start actually moving faster and faster because you have less of those bottlenecks that are getting in the way of you becoming effective, right? And that's what this is about. And so when we do something, always think about how am I enhancing that confidence to get to the next level? The small celebrations that you need to do to be able to enhance your journey, right, when it comes to celebrating those small successes as and when they come along. Let's take, for example, right, so I've been noted to be someone who has the audacity, right, to try out many different things, right, and mainly because I just believe when someone says you can't do something, that's when I do it, because I'm like, I want to show myself that I can do different things. I actually learned this concept from one of my classmates when I was at Stanford Business School, she just said to me, you know what? She tries once a month to make sure that she tries something that she's never done and maybe is most likely to fail at, because that's how they know that they're going to not only learn to be comfortable with failure, but they also might just learn something new and figure out ways to be even more confident. So if you ask me then how I've, been able to go after some of the professional, or even, educational accolades that I've been able to achieve, it was because I challenged myself to do those things. Even recently, right? I mean, I'm not a good swimmer, right, by any metric, I actually only learned the basics of swimming when I was an adult recently. But that didn't stop me. I mean, a couple of months ago, I actually was like, I'm fascinated. I wanted to see what it was like underwater. I was in a much more warm tropical environment, so it's not something you wanted to miss, right? Tried out snorkeling, that seemed doable. But I said, you know what? I'm going to try out for scuba diving. And I did my first attempt. Whew, it was absolutely scary. I didn't make it past the first surface of the water. But then as soon as I said to myself, no, but what happens when I try again? I went down there, right, in the water. And we were going down deep, and I had a trainer and the instructor with me, the oxygen tank. And guess what? I mean, all of a sudden, I started learning all these new things that I didn't even know. I mean, there things are a little bit like 360. It's like things are happening around you. You have contacts all over your body. And even just some of the colors and the shapes and the experiences, the different fishes, the corals, everything was different there. Now, that opened my mind to show me that there's possibilities beyond what even the human eye is able to see above the surface of the water. That experience alone, I'm now using that mindset to actually enhance myself, right, in different ways. I'm not claiming now that I'm going to be going under the water all the time. I mean, I'm still scared, right? But I didn't stop myself from trying and really doing things, because what that does is that it instills the energy. The other thing that's always been important, though, for me is that I've always fundamentally believed that when I'm developing my competence as a person, I don't set the bar based on what anyone else believes I'm capable of. I set my own bar. It was never about being better than anyone else, right? I compete with nobody but myself, right? It's about, how do I become the best version of me? How do I become better than the version of myself that I was yesterday, right? That's what this is about for me. So it's, if anything, it's made me feel like I'm limitless, right? Because there is no limits that can be set on earth for me when I'm the one responsible and carving out my own path. It's also helped me a lot even in my entrepreneurial ventures, right? Because then I'm affirmed to say, you know what, I want to try this, something that I haven't done before. And also when I was younger, when I was in much more of a formal corporate environment, I remember, I mean, there were times where I really pushed myself to do more. I mean, I was doing better, I was doing this, I was being noticed, I was delivering at a high level of effectiveness. And each time I achieved more, those around me, they'll say, we're really impressed, you should keep it up. And then I push myself to do more than that. And they say, wow, we're very impressed. And I push more and more. And the fifth time, they still saying they're impressed. I'm like, wait, most people would just stop at the fifth, I'm impressed, and they say, you know what, I've made it. I mean, I'm at the top of the ladder. But it wasn't like that for me. I mean, I was already in my early 20s, working directly for a CEO who was running a multi-billion-dollar business. It was one of the biggest operations in sub-Saharan Africa, But for me, in that moment, I realized that, you know what, but I can actually push myself to achieve more, to deliver more. And was I right? Because some of the milestones that I've been able to achieve, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have achieved them if I had stopped based on the bars that other people around me believed is what I should have been putting as the limits for myself, right? And then there is, of course, downsides to being left to your own devices, right? I mean, this whole concept of being limitless, sometimes you can do too much, and I've been a victim of that, right? More than even what your human body can handle. And it also doesn't help that it took me a long time to even learn things, just like asking for help. I had to have the confidence, right, to learn that sometimes, even though you can do a lot of things fearlessly and you're limitless, sometimes you need to be able to learn what your limits of your body are, right? And where your capabilities are, right? And I'm at a point where I haven't even reached my mid-30s yet, but I honestly feel like I've broken a lot of the milestones and barriers that I had envisioned, right, on my own path to success. But in the section where we're talking about grounding in later episodes, we'll talk more around those warning signs that you need, so that you know when you need to stop, you need to pause, so that when you're operating in a space of limitlessness, it's coming from a place where it's nurturing you and it's in a way that's healthy and aligned with who you are. If I were to sum it up, you could literally say that confidence, yes, you have that belief, that trust in yourself. It's enhanced by competence, when competence becomes a display of that belief that you have in yourself. So one of the best examples, right, that I can use from my own experiences is that, I also spend part of my time, right, as a way to give back, as a way to have an impact in the world. I actually give talks, right? So I've been doing it for more than 2 decades, where I'm actually sharing about some of the experiences that I've had on my journey to success, okay? And when I'm giving these talks, right, on the stage, different people have come to me, right? Different parts of the world, different context, different age groups. And they're always saying to me, but aren't you scared, right? To be on stage? I mean, it looks so scary. I was always puzzled when I get this question. I mean, I'm like, no one asked the doctor, right, if they're scared to cut a human being when they treat them. I mean, they know their tools. I mean, they've got years of experience and training on these kinds of things. For me, the stage is the same. So why would I be scared of doing something that I use as a tool to have such a big impact on the world? But anyways, as I grew older and I got to my 30s, I started Googling, and I realized one of the top fears, some of the top fears for humans, apparently, alongside heights, fearing failure, it's actually just getting on the stage, all right? So when I learned that, I also then realized that, so people are actually just not scared of cutting each other as much as I thought. The big fear is actually just getting up on the stage. And so now I realize why people were shocked when they saw just that I felt safe, I felt comfortable. So that's when I also then realized, where is it coming from? It's coming from the fact that, yes, I come across as confident, but I've invested a lot, I mean, decades worth, right, of experience in any of the forms of trade or the forms of art or experiences that I enjoy, to a point that it's not that you're fearless, it's just that fear doesn't have a space in that moment. It doesn't control me in any way, right? And ultimately, one of the things that I enjoy about leveraging the art of being an orator is that, at the end of the day, 7% of communication, right, is about the words that you say. Everything else is 100% about the experience. And that's where the effort needs to go. And so in any context that you find yourself in, challenge yourself to say, what is the larger part of the competence investment that I need in this moment to enable me to be successful, right? And to be able for me to project that confidence in a sustainable way. And that's why, right? And that's why I'm at a space where I'm very comfortable, right? To have authority on topics such as leadership, right? On topics such as, effectiveness in the context of business, like how do you make your business actually grow and be sustainable? Whether it's small to like being a big multinational. This is based on the years of experience that I've put in my own organization, helping other businesses, that I can get to a point that if I'm giving a talk on this, it's coming from a place of competence. And that's what this is about. And as someone who enjoys building and growing and developing, businesses, one of the things that I know is very central, right, is you need to have a mindset of learning. It's something that I've actually entrenched in my own organization. Anyone who joins, we start with our values. They're all about growth. They're all about how do you lead yourself in a way that you can learn, because ultimately, actually, confident leaders, right? Confident leaders are the kind of people who always have a learning mindset. I mean, they're lifelong learners. They crave new information, novel experiences, expanding their knowledge on a regular basis, right? And they hunger for this, right? And what that does is that then they're always focusing on a space of self-improvement. And so challenge yourself to say, are you open to learning? People who enjoy learning, they're always open to learning, even in non-traditional ways, right? That fit with their aptitude, their learning styles, and they're willing and able to also unlearn things, right? Because certain things don't serve us anymore. It doesn't matter where you got it from. If it doesn't serve you, it also takes learning and unlearning to get out of it, right? And so find a way to do that and declutter and clean your mind to create the space to learn new things. And also learning comes in all kinds of forms. Don't limit yourself. You don't have to struggle. And if you are struggling, there's coaches, there's trainers, there's all kinds of tools that you can leverage so that you can make sure that you keep learning. And when it comes to learning, I love learning. I'm always keen to learn, and any opportunity I get to interact with anyone. I mean, I told you now that I've spent more than 2 decades, on public platforms where I get a chance to give some talks. And most of the time when I get off, I'm still very happy to get the feedback, right? And I ask what worked, what didn't work, what stands out for people, what was most memorable, what would they like to teach me? I believe, that quotes you learn from the CEO, the street sweeper, everyone. So any opportunity that you get to interact with another being, use it, human or otherwise, right? There's lessons everywhere. And so I really encourage learning, and also note the learnings as they come through. It doesn't have to be formal, but notes, actually keep a journal. This is what I learned today. These are some of the things that were my aha moments today. These are the things that will help to ensure that you continuously maintain your competence.